Are you black? Do you ever wonder why it seems like everybody hates black people? Well, tune your ass in. Okay, I'm about to teach you a little something. Today we're gonna be talking about China's racist history. Long lasting racist history against black people. For no reason at all. Except for the approval of Europeans. Because yes, white superiority did not begin in America and it will not end in America. It has been a ancient Chinese belief that fair-skinned, pale-skinned people are superior to those of a darker skin tone. And you can think of this like if you ever seen the movie Mulan, where they paint their faces really white. And this is actually in real life, but I reference Mulan because I feel like we've all seen Mulan. They paint their faces real white. The women's face is really white, and like it almost embraces their beauty. Like their beauty standards is always something of a European, I guess you could say, look like they want to look like Europeans. It's also common that the whiter you are in China, the more smarter you are. And that's not only in China, obviously. Now, when I say this dates back to ancient times, I'm being extremely dramatic. This dates back to maybe mid 1700s. Now, this anti-blackness in China didn't really get a lot of global attention until I want to say the early 60s. There was a group of African students from politically friendly areas of Africa that were brought to China. I believe they went there to study, but their housing was paid for by the Chinese government. Their books were paid. Everything was paid. They had to pay nothing, and also their living quarters were significantly better than the students that were already at these colleges. And this is where the bullshit began. Now, these students came from developing countries, underdeveloped countries. But when these students came there, they even complained about the living quarters and the social injustices and not being treated equally. But they were treated, to the locals, they were treated better. But I want you to take what I just said and listen to this and listen to me clearly. They were treated like human beings. And this pissed these Chinese people the fuck off. Now, I say that, their living quarters were, significantly better, which they were. But I want you to think about how bad these living quarters had to be for the Chinese students in general, for the African students to even complain that it was unlivable. Think about that. Even the African students that came from underdeveloped countries said this is absurd. There's no way we can live like this. So these Chinese students was already living pretty fucking piss poor. So when these African students came, they was kind of mad. Like, hold up, like why do they get running water and we don't? Type shit. You know what I mean? But I want you to understand, China already wasn't fucking with black people, okay? You brought these black students over here to this environment, this community that already was not going to embrace them, and then you start to treat them better. They were not treated like royalty. They were treated as tourists. They were just treated as tourists. But listen to me and listen to me clearly. These Chinese people, students, were only upset because these black people were being treated like human fucking beings. Simple. To give you an idea of the brutal treatment that Africans were met with while being in China on multiple different occasions, I'm only going to give you maybe 2 or 3, but I'm going to give you some ideas. In March of 1962, there was a Zanzibari, which is an African student, who was trying to buy cigarettes. He just wanted cigarettes, just to smoke. He was beaten brutally. He was beaten brutally by a mob of Chinese people at the hotel that he was staying at. In 1979, at the Shanghai Textile Engineering Institute, there was a series of anti-black crimes that just started to just become normal, to the point where the police stopped engaging. They stopped coming when the African students and citizens would call for them. Because remember, the government may have paid for these students to be there. The locals, and including the police, were not on the same accord. On July 3rd of 1988, and for the next year, a multitude of anti-black and racial turmoil began to ensue, where over 250 black students were severely injured, 50 killed. 25 Chinese students were injured, all because Chinese people started to lie and say these black students, African students, were raping Chinese women. Now, who that sound like? Who they sound like? Lying, saying that a black man raped a white woman. I mean, a Chinese woman. Who they sound like? The racism in China goes back, and there's so many more that I have not mentioned. So many more, so many African students that were minding their motherfucking businesses, that were just bothered because of the color of their skin. Now, in 1989, there was, I guess you could say, there was noted that there was students putting up posters denouncing their government for allowing African students to room, house, and learn in the same building as Asian people, not just Chinese people. This happened in China, but they were saying it was against Asian culture and tradition to be combined or housed, integrated with African people. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's it.